Welcome to abombtozzzax. With me, Colin Holt. And my friends Dan Snellgrove and Jamie Firth. Here they come! Hello, everyone. Welcome back to, I've forgotten what it's called, to abombtozzzax, my favourite Marvel character, where every week I, Colin Holt, go through the Marvel Comics universe, finding out all the wonderful characters that live in it. Well, they don't live, do they? Unless, well, I mean, they're drawings and voices. But anyway, I'm coming on this journey with me on my friends, my three friends, the only friends I have. Two of them, Jamie and Dan, join me every other week now, and we talk about a more sort of movie one, a bit populist. You know, we're very much the Trumps. And then joining me for the more liberal, bleeding heart, nerd deep dive into more nerdy things is my friend Nick Crick, who is here with me right now. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Zzzaxers. I'm going to go with Zzzaxers. I didn't like A-bombers.
Hello, Zzzaxers. Yeah, well, we're the Zzzaxers, and A-bombers are the ones who listen to the Captain America-based ones.
Yeah, like the old Whizzer and Chips comic.
Whizzer and Chips? What was that?
Yeah.
Was that a Beano type?
Yeah, it was like a Beano type one, and it had two sections to it. And the first section was Whizzer, and you were a whiz kid if you like that. And the middle section was Chips, and you were a chipite if you liked that one.
A chip? What was that like? With a chip like the scum? The chip? They the poor kids. Bless them.
I can't remember which one I was. I think I was a chipite. I don't remember which one I liked.
And what were you encouraged not to read the other part of the comic?
Yeah, now you say that, it sounds quite weird when you think about it. It's like, no, I think you read the whole thing, but you identified with one half more.
Ugh, as you're reading, I hate these bloody chipites. That's a really funny idea. I like that idea. I mean, it's very divisive.
It's funny. Like, things that seem normal when you're a kid, when you talk about them, it's like, actually, now I'm describing that sounds mad.
I remember Whizzer and Chip. My brother was very into like Beano and Dandy and all that stuff. I mean, I liked that. I loved Roger the Dodger, great Dodger readers and all that stuff. Wonderful stuff. But the Whizzer and Chips, I didn't realize that it was such a heavy concept.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was a series? We're going very off the topic here, but this was when I was early into my career as an actor. I remember everyone I knew except me went up for this thing called Moving Wallpaper. Do you remember that?
Oh yes, I do remember that.
ITV show.
Yeah,
and so they did a show that was an actual soap opera or sitcom. Yeah. No, it was a sitcom.
And no, then it was a soap opera called something like Sunset Beach.
Right.
I can't remember, something like that.
And Moving Wallpaper was the
behind the scenes comedy documentary about it.
But they were both valid as what they were.
Yeah, so one was like a genuine soap, and then the other one was like a mock documentary about the making of it.
That's very concept heavy, isn't it? I remember back in the day, and you don't seem to. The little bit of TV I work in, I work in a fair bit of TV, but I don't feel exactly I'm a mover and shaker, as it were. But it feels like a lot of those high concept things have fallen by the wayside a bit more these days. It's more character led, which is good, and it's more kind of like we want it like that. We want it like Game of Thrones or whatever, as opposed to it's this big concept. But early in this is not about comics at any point, but early in the 2000s when I started out, it was all that. I remember doing a sketch show, taster tape for a sketch show that was based around fashion. Sketches based around fashion. That's a dreadful idea, isn't it?
The whole show was just fashion sketches.
Yeah, but not like an episode of a sketch show where it's like, oh, this week it's all fashion-y. Even that would be weird. But it was the idea that every week there'd just be sketches about fashion.
That feels too niche for a sketch show.
It's very niche, isn't it? I mean, they're quite funny sketches, I think, but I just remember everything was such big idea. Do you know what? The creator of that, who I met and got on with well and did some bits and bobs with later, he ended up writing Iron Man 3.
Nice.
There's to bring it back to comics.
There
that was
we
Drew
go.
Pearce.
That's a nice segue.
Sure, he won't mind me mentioning that on this podcast. I'm sure he's very proud of it. I remember there's one sketch where it would be people like playing tennis or someone, and then someone would be dressed as Henry VIII, and they'd say, "Why are you wearing that?" And they go, "It's vintage." That was they were trying to get that as the catchphrase, like the
like a sort of Fast Show style catchphrase.
Look big in this.
Yeah.
So every scene, someone would go, "It's vintage." Yeah, too niche, way too niche. Talking about going niche, this week we are focusing on a very specific area of the Marvel Comics universe. The next character in our list from A to Z is Annihilus. So I thought this can be called Annihilus and Other Cosmic Bastards, who is the worst / best cosmic villain of the Fantastic Four. But not Galactus, because obviously it's Galactus.
Yeah,
if he even is a villain. We haven't got to G. And also the Fantastic Four movie's coming out. So in our attempt to try and lure in more listeners, we're going mainstream and we're doing all the movies. So when the movie comes out, we'll do Fantastic Four then. Wonderfully played by Ralph Innes. Is it Innes or Innocent? Innocent, isn't it?
Innocent. Yeah. Innocent, I think.
I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I already think it's a wonderful performance. I can picture it. Did you watch Nosferatu?
Yeah, I didn't like it
Terrible.
that much in the end.
I hated every minute of it.
Yeah, I thought it was really boring.
Except Ralph Ineson. And
he's always good. He's always good.
He really is, isn't he? But he's someone who people say, "Oh, he's always good." And he was in another film I saw, The Creator, which we could talk about next time we speak, when we do Ant-Man, in fact. But that was good. And he was a baddie general in that. And he's just wonderful.
Yeah.
But every time you see it, if you're British in particular, you go, "Oh, it's Chris Finch from The Office." And then you can't not have that reaction, no matter how good he gets, how brilliant he is. I once saw him do a read-through of a play. It was after The Office, but before he'd sort of broke into Hollywood. And it was this someone, I don't know why they took me along, but they took me along to this read-through. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. They all had scripts, but they'd only done it that afternoon, and they were fighting, like punching each other, getting off with each other. Like, when I say punching, in a stage fight way, but I don't know, they couldn't have really learned stage fight because they only had about 2 hours. So I think they were kind of punching each other. And Ralph Ineson played a man who was working down the mines. He only had about like 6 lines, but even that was great. Right, enough about these guys. So we're going to talk about 4 cosmic villains, and we're going to decide who is the biggest bastard out of these 4, starting with Annihilus. His first appearance, Fantastic Four, annual number 6. And we also looked at Fantastic Four 140, where we learnt his origin, and Annihilation, where he really... probably the least of the bunch. We've got Ronan, the Accuser, and finally Psycho Man. He's an odd character, isn't he? Well, Nick, we'll start with probably the best of the. I mean, I don't want to, decide now who's the biggest bastard, but Annihilus, I can't not think of him as a Dalek-like villain. Looks like a big green robot created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee in Fantastic Four Annual 6. Looks like a big green robot with wings. I don't think he is a robot, though, is he? But quite possibly they hadn't decided by that point anyway. A beautiful design, green, metallic-looking face with the most bizarrest mouth. Do you know what it reminds me of? Kevin O'Neill drawings. You know Kevin O'Neill, R.I.P.
Yes. Yeah.
Drew League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, of course, and a lot of classic 2000 AD. And he created, do you remember a thing called Shock? Have you ever read that? It was a one-off. So they reckon James Cameron nicked it for the Terminator. It's really? About a soldier coming back from some sort of wars in the cursed earth or Mars or whatever, and he brings back this robot that he's found on the battlefield in some future war, gives it to his girlfriend, and she starts making a sculpture out of it. Lo and behold, while he's out, the robot comes back to life and chases her around the apartment, trying to kill her till she finally crushes it or something.
No, is this the one?
Do you remember?
Is this the one that inspired the film Hardware? It wasn't Terminator. There was a film called Hardware.
Well, yeah, I think Hardware was an actual direct adaptation of it, but they think the Terminator was also stolen off it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's really good, and Annihilus looks a lot like him. He's also very, very pink, which is really cute. So, listeners, we had a bit of a problem there, didn't we, Nick? You are probably aware, if you're one of our avid listeners, that this is late. It's late because the Wi-Fi in Manchester is a little, a little shaky, if I'm honest. It's all the bloody good times down at the Hacienda. But sorry. Do you know, I was wandering around Manchester for ages, and I was like, God, this place is all bricks. No wonder everyone's so depressed. There's no green. Anyway, but I do love Manchester, I must say. But anyway, we had a bit of the Wi-Fi stopped working. Apparently the first 10 minutes is salvageable. You've already listened to that. I haven't listened back to it. Lovely Daniel said he's managed to get 10 minutes out of it. We don't know where that ended. Or so you've just jumped forward with us in time.
Yeah.
And now it's a few days later, but we're still trying to get it done. Now, the question was, who is the greatest, who is the worst of the Fantastic Four's cosmic bastards? Who is the biggest cosmic bastard?
Yeah.
Not including Galactus, because obviously it's him, and we're going to do him later. So the four we picked are Annihilus, Blastaar, 2 A's between the T and the R. Blastaar. Yeah. So he's just not Blaster, basically. Ronan, not Ronan. Ronan, and Psycho Man, bizarrely named Psycho Man. Right, Nick, you've got your little history about these. Should we make a little journey through the four of them?
I have indeed. I just went for sort of a bit more notey this time, but we'll go with the stats. We'll start off with Annihilus,
the big boy himself, Annihilus. Yes,
yep,
okay, lovely. I should say at the start, by the way, all these are created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, I believe. And I was thinking about them, they're all real wonderful Kirby designs.
Yeah.
And they all kind of remind me of sort of He-Man baddies. Or they could all fit in one of those 80s Saturday morning cartoons that we knew and loved when we were children. Thundercats, that kind of thing. But they're all created so long ago. Yeah. Early 60s. So much of Jack Kirby's stuff has just been, copied and copied and copied over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a really important point I wanted to make. So if you're wondering, they all look a bit like He-Man figures, but
lots of helmets and big hair and
He-Man figures sort of via Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
60s bizarre, cosmic, interesting. Okay, so Nick is going to give us some stats on Annihilus, the biggest of baddies.
First appearance, Fantastic Four annual number 6 from 1968.
Correct.
Height 5'11", apparently. 8 meters.
Reasonable size.
Weight 90.72 kilograms. So he's not that tall and not that heavy.
He's lighter than me, and he's a carapace.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, they're quite light, I think, aren't they? Insects are generally light, I believe. I've never been knocked over by an insect.
There's a lot of hollow space going on with a lot of insects, I think.
A lot of hollow space, which reminds me of a meditation I did today that was wonderful. If anyone needs this, slightly go off topic, if you need a little moment of meditation to sort you out, start by imagining the space between your eyes.
I'm trying to look at the space between my eyes now, which I don't think is what you meant.
But you just imagine that space between your eyes, and then you go the space between your eyes and the back of your head, and then the top of your head and the bottom of your head, and then you go all through your body in it. It really sorts you out, mate. It's a great tonic. So I imagine there's a lot of space inside Annihilus, just to bring it back.
Probably shouldn't be trying to do that now while we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, stop now. No, not now.
I went for a second there.
We'll do another podcast. Annihilus meditates.
Yeah.
He'd be a terrible meditator, wouldn't he? Because he's constantly just sort of screaming his name.
Yes, I was just about to say that. His real name's Annihilus, and he says it a lot.
He does say it a lot.
He says it a
In
lot.
the third person type way.
Yeah.
Does he speak? I can't quite remember. Does he speak sort of good English? Other than
He does, but he just says his name a lot. It's almost like Annihilus is going to the shops now. Can Annihilus get you anything?
Annihilus need cuddle. Annihilus sad. I don't know if he gets sad. Does he feel emotion? Well, he feels rage and anger, definitely.
Yeah, mostly anger. Mostly anger.
Mostly anger. So Annihilus, like Blastaar, I only knew for a long time from the top trump cards. And I always wondered, who is this strange looking robot insect type man with wings? He was very powerful in the top trumps. I knew that. So I only read this Fantastic Four annual, number 6. For this, I'd never read, I don't think I'd read any. Oh, no, I had. That's wrong. I read Annihilation before. So my first real understanding of Annihilus is Annihilation. So let's start with Annihilation in a weird way and work backwards. So Annihilation was a great big cosmic event in Cosmic Marvel. And there's different kinds of Cosmic Marvel. There's kind of Star Wars-y Cosmic Marvel, and then there's kind of trippy, druggy Adam Warlock Cosmic Marvel, which we've touched on.
Yeah.
In Annihilation was created, I think, initially by Keith Giffen. Is it a Giffen joint? I think it is.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. Annihilation, the prologue, whatever, Annihilation 0, whatever it was called. The rest of it is still pretty good, isn't it? I don't know how much it stands up, but that first one. And all the stuff we know about, like Guardians of the Galaxy and all that stuff, and Star-Lord, all comes from this comic, in particular that one. Because before that, they were all just like these random characters who no one really loved or used. And people talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy, like in the movies, like, oh yeah, we've loved the characters going back decades and all this stuff. No, you haven't, because they did the whole Rocket and Groot and all that was just only a few years before the movies, surely.
Yeah, it's all pretty recent. It's over the last 20 years, really. They've done the kind of this version of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
the original version of Guardians of the Galaxy, when we talked about Alita, I mean, they're some of the bizarrest, kind of fun but not good characters. They are not strong.
I haven't really read much of that, to be honest.
We'll get to those one day. I'm quite excited at Charlie 27 and the gang. Anyway, so it sets up, really Keith Giffen single-handedly kind of pulled together and set up the universe, didn't he, of the thing called the Kiln, which is the prison planet. Remember, a lot of it starts on there. And Star-Lord he's different to what he becomes in the movies. He's a bit more of a misanthrope.
Yeah.
He's kind of cynical.
He becomes more wisecracky once they've sort of Marvel Cinematic Universed him.
Yeah, he's definitely not an idiot, is he? He's definitely more on the ball. And so there's, I can hear foxes screaming outside. It's terrifying. Don't worry, Ned. Don't worry. It's Annihilus screaming his own name. Anyway, so he sets up this whole, how the sort of cosmic universe works in Marvel. And it's that strange thing where they kind of, they have like Texan type aliens, as in aliens who are cowboys and things like that. So it's a weird thing where they're in space, but they're kind of talk and act the same as people on Earth.
Yeah.
Which is very 2000 AD, actually. I think it lends. True. Yeah. Anyway, what happens is there's also a character called Nova, who's part of the Nova Corps, which are kind of like the space police. And the Annihilation wave hits. No one expects it to come. They do all this kind of like, -5 to the Annihilation wave and stuff like that as the story's going on. So this terrifying thing's coming. And when it hits, boy, Nick, is it pretty terrifying. It just wipes out planets. Mass destruction of whole peoples, civilizations. Everyone's hit by it. The Skrulls, the Shi'ar, the Kree. Not Earth. It's heading towards Earth, but not Earth. And for quite a long time, you don't know what's going on in this story. You're just like, who are these? What is this absolute bloody blitzkrieg? But the clue was in the name all along, and it turns out it was Annihilus of the Negative Zone, who has launched his armies into our universe and is really giving us what for.
And I never quite understood the negative zone. Is it antimatter? Is it supposed to be an
Hmm.
antimatter universe?
Yeah, they don't really know that, do they? There's a
It's a
part
bit
what they
vague.
do in that Fantastic Four annual, or is it in the other one? I can't remember. But there's a part of the universe where if you go into it, it becomes antimatter
Yeah.
within the negative zone. Sorry, and because Reed Richards spots there's a planet there, and if you touch it, it will explode.
Yeah,
It will
I think that's where
destroy
I was getting
everything.
confused because I thought the negative zone itself was antimatter, but then he
Yeah,
talks
I
about
did.
matter planet within it, and I was like, oh, maybe it's not antimatter then. Maybe there's pockets of antimatter in there. I don't know.
Yeah. What even is the negative zone? It was
Oh,
just another. I think is it the
it's just another
first
universe, I guess.
dimension? Or
Yeah,
I don't really know the difference. This is where we need Mr. Snellgrove, don't we? But I
yeah.
think I don't think it was. I think it was the first dimension they go into in Marvel. Was it
I think you're right.
the
Yeah, yeah. Because it's quite
first
early on in the
whiff of a
Fantastic.
multiverse?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's not quite a multiverse like Multiverse of Madness. It's not like you're going into a where Reed Richards is Rita Richards or anything like that. It's just another zone. Do you know what makes me think of Kurt Vonnegut? It's kind of like that.
yeah. I think also, like being a Star Trek guy, it made me think a bit of like Deep Space Nine, the Gamma Quadrant, where it's just another completely different place. It's all different species,
Mm.
different planets. So yeah, you're right. It's not multiverse in that sense where there's another Earth there. It's just a realm of different creatures and planets.
Yeah,
Um,
and which can be completely odd and not make any sense, and can just be big insect people.
yeah,
Really, it's just Jack Kirby's chance to draw. In a way, what's the difference between that and the places that Doc Strange go to, like
yeah,
the Dread Dimension of Dormammu?
yeah. Dormammu. Don't know.
Dormammu. Yeah, what is the difference? I don't know. No one knows. I'd like the idea of the negative zone being slightly metaphorical, a bit like Phantom Tollbooth or something, where it represents depression.
Yeah,
They kind of did this in a film called The Ice Storm. Did you ever see that?
no, I haven't seen the Ice.
Brilliant. Toby Maguire, early appearance. Kevin Kline, Sigourney Weaver. And
I've
it's
heard of it. Yeah,
really, I haven't seen it since it came. I think it's Ang Lee's first like American film, but it's about him and he's a kid in the 70s and his parents kind of have these swingers parties and stuff like that. But all what they use as a kind of thematic thing is that he reads the Fantastic Four and relates it to real life and talks about you can end up in the negative zone and it's as if it's depression, say.
yeah.
It's cleverer than that, but I like that idea that the negative zone represents a place we can all end up if we're not careful. And then Annihilus tears you to pieces.
I
So
think it works. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I have a lot of information there, Nick.
But he is. You said sort of the big insecty. He is a big insect. He's literally a big insect. They do say that he evolved from an insect. He was the only being on this planet that could sort of talk.
Mhm.
And then he later finds out that he was an experiment from another planet. They just sort of threw some old cast-offs
Yeah,
out out onto other planets, and he evolved from that. So he spends about 10,000 years just being very angry.
yeah, really, he's furious. We discover he discovers his own origin, doesn't he? He gets to
Yeah,
meet his maker, sort of thing. And oh, one sec, Nick.
yeah,
Sorry, we were slightly interrupted there. My little boy wanted to come down. He's been a little bit poorly, and he wanted to come down and play a computer game with me. And I said, "No, I'm recording a podcast about Marvel Comics." But anyway, he'll be. Don't worry, don't you worry, dear listeners. So yeah, we discover that his origin story. He discovers. Does he discover it? Oh no, he tells the
yeah.
Fantastic Four it.
Yeah, he tells Fantastic Four, but I think he discovers it because he meets the people who've made him, and
Oh yeah, he does.
their response is almost like, "Oh yeah, sorry."
Oh, but they're all dead, aren't they? Because he finds their ship on the planet.
Oh, is it just he finds a recording of what they've done, maybe?
Yeah, but they
Oh,
all look exactly like Thundercats. They are
yeah,
Thundercats.
yeah, yeah,
Literally Thundercats. And it's this strange thing where their planet was dying. They were running out of food. They were starving. So what's the answer to that? How do you solve that problem? Well, obviously you fly to another planet and then dump a load of DNA on it and then die. I think is what they did. And they dropped like this test tube that I think is meant to be DNA. I don't even know if they say DNA. And you just see all these loads of weird creatures in it. That just
Yeah, they
fall
just pop
out of the test tube. You know, they're not even like microbes or anything. They're just little like dogs and rabbits and creatures. Do you know what it reminds me of? The Watership Down. You know, when the god creates the earth and you see like a little dog and a little cat and a little, I swear they've got it from that. And then one of these creatures is the lowest of them all, which was Annihilus. And he basically at this point looks like Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
And he's in the swamp trying not to get beaten up by all the other ones kind of bully him, don't they? It's called Animal Farm or Animals of Farming Wood, but in an alien DNA way. It's very weird. Anyway, eventually he runs away from all the other animals because he's sort of shunned, finds this ship, but he discovers they've got this thing which is called the Cosmic Control Rod, which gives him kind of infinite cosmic power, like Silver Surfer level, would you say?
Yeah, something like that. That seemed to be the kind of implication.
How could they not then make just some dinner? The people who were starving. They had godlike powers in this control rod, but they're like, we're starving.
Maybe the dinner setting was broken.
Yeah. Or they just forgotten. They'd gone so far down a science track, they've forgotten what dinner is.
It only does face blasting now.
Oh no! He got stuck. Yeah. Oh, jammed. Oh well. I mean, this was not a Stanley Jack Kirby, wasn't this? Roy
no,
Thomas?
This is Jerry Conway, the origin one.
Okay, that's why it's kind of bullshit. When they first meet Annihilus, it's because they Sue Storm Richards, I should say, Reed's wife. Well, Reed's wife, for God's sake, the Invisible Woman, Invisible Girl at this point, is having her first baby.
Yeah.
And because of the cosmic radiation, they think the baby or her might die. It's pretty tense. You never see her for the whole annual, apart from at the end when the baby's born. Spoiler, the baby's fine. So is she. But they discover they have to go to the negative zone to find a thing to make it okay.
It's the cosmic power. It's the cosmic power rod that they need. They need to drain that off and drain the energy.
They don't know that exists at that point, do they?
No, but then they see it and they're like, "Oh, that must be what we need." So we'll just have some energy from that tar.
Yeah.
They go very quickly to, "Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing."
The first thing
that the guy who's attacking it happens to have.
It's tense, and then there's a good 6 or 7 pages at the end of them just in the waiting room, isn't there, with another guy who keeps going. Say, you fellas got a light? And I was thinking, is he like a reference to a celebrity of the time or something? But he's kind of
maybe
it's that classic man about to have. And obviously the 60s, so the men aren't in the room with the woman giving birth. They're all stood outside waiting to smoke cigars and
it's pacing, it's cigar smoking,
shaking,
it's potentially the man fainting. That's always the comedy thing in the 50s, isn't it?
It felt kind of slightly weirdly stuck in there, considering Sue might die. And also he gets his answer first, which is that he's having twins. Congratulations, Mr. Johnson, you're having twins. Oh my! And then he faints, you know. A lot of fun. So all in all, Annihilus, I like.
Yeah.
Not a lot of character other than rage, but he's got a real nasty edge to him. I believe he could really tear up the Fantastic Four.
And he just looks very cool.
He does look really cool.
Very cool.
Like the fact I didn't clock he was an insect, but then when you go, oh, he's an insect, you go, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, strong insect vibes.
Did I talk on the bit we recorded? Did I already talk about the 2000 AD Kevin O'Neill? I did. Okay, good. Well, that's what he looks like, if you're wondering. Okay, so that's Annihilus. Don't muck with him. He will annihilate you. He really will. Very Dalek-y, actually. I think the Daleks might have taken a bit from him. Not very. He doesn't look Dalek-y, but he has that kind of pure hatred.
Yeah. No, they were first.
They were first. Oh, okay.
Before that.
Oh, they say exterminate, don't they? Not annihilate, but still. There's definitely a crossover there. Right, let's move on to very quickly onto Blastaar. What have you got about Blastaar?
He's another negative Norman. He's another negative zone inhabitant. He is Fantastic Four 62, so slightly before Annihilus.
Hmm.
6'6".
Slightly before Annihilus, did you say?
Yes,
Oh.
Annihilus was in 1968. Blastaar's 1967. So Blastaar.
Oh, so that's not the first appearance of the negative zone, is it? Annihilus? No, of course it's not, because there's the whole story where Reed goes in it and nearly dies, and Thing has to, save him. Great. Sorry.
He's 6'6", so he's taller than Annihilus, and he's 235 kilograms.
Cool.
He's a chunky boy.
All muscle though, and beard.
His main power is finger blasting.
Sounds a bit.
I've said that. I don't like it. And he has a gas emitting suit at one point as well.
Does he?
We've all got one of those. Let's be honest.
Yeah. My suit's emitting gas right now. But is it any gas? Noxious fumes?
I think noxious. I think of a noxious variety. Again, similar, very similar.
Yeah. And is he constantly pumping those out, or is it just?
I think on demand.
Okay, so he can blast you with his fingers or make a stench.
I think he only has the suit for a little while. He's mainly a finger boy.
What a weird addition! You know what this character needs? A suit that makes noxious odors.
Yeah.
That's the one thing missing. So Blastaar first appears, and as I remember, becomes friends with the Sandman, who at that point is wearing a costume which is bizarrely worse than just a stripy t-shirt. He looks better in the original, and they do go back to the original design.
He's got sort of a weird, there's a weird helmet thing going on, isn't there?
Yeah, and a kind of collarbone. It looks like he's wearing a neck brace type thing. But him and Sandman team up to fight the Fantastic Four for no particular reason, I don't think.
No, it's not very clear. But it mainly seems to be so that they can have like a nice big page of Blastaar doing a shouty pose so that Jack Kirby can do a bit of nice big shouty man drawing.
Yes. I think he looks brilliant, Blastaar. I mean, he looks like a big bear man.
Yeah, he's got like a proper mane of sort of hair all round.
Very Klingon, would you say? Is he?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is he before Klingons?
Probably around the same sort of time.
Okay.
Yeah, similar sort of time. Yeah, he's a bit Klingon-y.
In the way Annihilus is cold, calculating, vengeful, Blastaar is more Genghis Khan-like, isn't he? Aggressive, conquering.
Yeah.
Proud.
He's also a third personer. Refers to himself
as Blastaar
a lot. Yeah.
That's with two A's. Not just called Blastaar. I feel like Blastaar is let down by Stan Lee here. The more I read about Stan and Jack, and I do like Stan. I met Stan as a little boy. I don't know if I've told you that. I was 12 years old. Not so, almost a teenager. And he was very, very nice. It was in Forbidden Planet in Nottingham. I've got a photo of me with him and a man dressed as Spider-Man.
There we go.
And but I feel like Jack is obviously, I mean, we're not the first to say Jack is clearly the full-on genius.
Yeah.
Creativity-wise. I mean, Stan is a good marketer, and he sells and sometimes his writing's fantastic, I think. It's very fun, very funny. But I feel this is, because I know Jack used to complain about, he'd create these characters and scenarios and stuff, and Stan would kind of dilute them into something a bit obvious. And I feel like, as opposed to Annihilus, which is great, the design's great and the character fits it, I feel like Blastaar does look good, not as interesting, but the character is just big, angry bear man.
It is just big, punchy man. There's not really much more.
Yeah, he's a king, isn't he? He has a son at one point.
Yeah. I forgot to say this for Annihilus. He dies at least 3 times.
Annihilus, right?
No, Blastaar does. I think
Blastaar does.
Annihilus. Oh yeah, Annihilus dies 3 times as well and gets devolved once. So
devolved into just like an insect.
Yeah.
Actual cricket. And when he gets killed at the end of Annihilation, the Annihilation series, which I highly recommended, and he gets killed by Nova ripping out his innards by punching him through the mouth and just giving a good tug.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
Have
the
you ever
series
seen the Have you ever
ends.
seen the film Society?
Yes, I have with Billy
It's a
Warlock.
li- yeah, it's a little bit like that.
I don't remember. Is there a bit where someone rips someone's guts out through their mouth? I don't.
No, he
Oh, a
gets
very long
someone
time ago.
reaches down through someone's mouth and turns them inside out.
You'd think I'd remember that, wouldn't you?
It's
If
pretty.
I was going to remember anything, weirdly, the thing I remember is that the actor was called Billy Warlock.
It's a
And
good
that was
name.
the actor's name. It's very good if you had it. I don't think his career really took off, sadly, but God bless him. I'm going to watch that film again. I remember enjoying it. It's a clever little satire on the rich.
Yeah,
I
that's
believe.
good.
So, yeah. So I'd say Annihilus is above Blastaar. Oh, yeah. When he does die, he then comes back and is birthed of one of his many wives. So his wife gives birth to him.
That feels, I don't know, that's a bit icky.
It's very icky. And then she dies giving birth to him. And he comes out as a little creature to grow into the new Annihilus. You not remember that bit?
From his mother wife.
Yeah. I mean, they're bugs. They're probably all sorts of stuff. But also, I like the idea that I think they're all just descended from him. Like the entire army and every single creature. And some of them have personalities. But it's a bit like that horrible character in Game of Thrones. Do you remember the one when they're going into the woods and he's got like daughters and stuff? But Annihilus is, but which I guess makes sense again with an insect thing. He's just got his entire hive are just his descendants and his army.
Yeah.
Good fun.
That makes sense.
Good, healthy fun. Okay, moving on to Ronan.
Yeah.
What do we got for that big cheese?
Apparently, so his first appearance, Fantastic Four 65, so just after, not long after Blastaar. 7'5".
Cool. I'd have thought Blastaar was bigger.
Yeah, no, Ronan 7'5", and but 217 kilograms. So not as heavy as Blastaar, but a lot taller.
Again, thick, strong, muscly man.
Yeah. In this first one, he introduces himself frequently as Ronan, the public accuser, which feels a little bit like introducing yourself as Ronan, the court-appointed barrister, or Ronan, the licensed notary.
Very good. He's a stickler for the rules, though. Eh? Come on,
Yeah.
He stands on ceremony and tradition. Is everything.
I feel like he should be an honorary member of the Serpent Society because he likes a rule.
He certainly does, and he likes. I like in the later stories that in Annihilation there was Annihilation Ronans. There were some spin-offs of Annihilation, which you could or couldn't read. But the great thing about them was all those spin-offs worked completely independently and as part of the story. Good storytelling, well done, Marvel writers. But Ronan, he in that one, there's a great story where he's judging someone. So he's a judge. He's a cosmic judge, but not cosmic in a like eternity, celestial.
No, he's a Kree. He's a member of the Kree race, and he's one of their kind of judges who goes around settling disputes. And
doesn't he become the accuser for shorthand?
Yeah, I think he's just normally the accused. But in that first issue, he keeps calling himself the public accuser. Like, he doesn't accuse people in private; he does it very publicly.
It sounds like a 1950s detective show as well.
Yeah,
Ronan, public accuser at large, or whatever, But he and he has a big hammer, which is called the universal weapon or the ultimate weapon.
Something like that. I think it's universal weapon, isn't it? Which makes it sound a bit like a big Swiss Army knife. Yeah,
it's just got corkscrews and everything you need. It's got a little blender in it that you can just. But he has this big universal hammer. Mostly he just hits people with, but also I think he can use to take apart matter, to reform things, to blast. It's basically blasting. Teleport, probably teleport. He can do a lot with it.
It's mostly hitting and blasting though. They do like someone with a hammer in Marvel Comics. There's a lot of
good old hammer.
Another hammer. Which
I imagine in real combat, were they ever really used? I know they're used in Warhammer, obviously, and things like that. But in real life, they'd be really hard to fight with, I imagine.
It feels pretty.
You get one big swing in. Yeah. I'll ask my friend Simon, who is a battle reenactor.
I have a friend called Simon who's also done historical reenactment as well.
It could be the same Simon. We'll talk on that another time. Is he bald with a beard?
No, he's got a beard, but he's got hair.
He's got a full header. He's a Blastaar, not an Annihilus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ronan, yeah. So what I was going to say is that the Annihilation Rohan story is great because it starts where he's settling a dispute on this alien planet, and he decides this person who has stolen this thing, can't remember what he's done, but he's guilty. So, and it's kind of the sentence is death kind of thing. And then they're like, no, we didn't want you to kill him. And then he's like, justice has been served. I'm not getting involved anymore. He's like, justice needs to be served, and it was served. And then it shows you like throughout that story, he has his adventures, but that situation gets worse and worse because the person he killed was actually the next in line to be the leader or something. So now there's no one leading them. And there's this gang war and the whole society's falling apart around him. And he's sort of oblivious to it going on, which I love. It's very, very, very Judge Dredd.
Yes.
Don't know if they were inspired by Ronan. It surprised me if it was, in that 2000 AD tends to be absolutely hateful of Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think John Wagner would be particularly influenced by...
He does look the same, though.
Little bit. Yeah, there was a bit of a visual similarity. But I thought...
kind of big shoulders, big heads. It's not a helmet as such, but I think he looks very Judge Dredd. And they deliberately make... I think it's that weird thing of, if Judge Dredd was inspired by him, then later Ronan ones are clearly inspired by Judge Dredd in that he acts and talks and does everything like Judge Dredd.
Yeah, the Annihilation one felt very Judge Dredd-like in that he was like, this is the law, and I'm following that, and I don't care about any nuance. I've done what needs to be done by the law.
The rules is the rules, buddy. Even though in that story he's been kicked out, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Of his position. Sorry, what were you going to say, Nick? I talked over you then, old friend.
No, all I was saying was that he's following the rule, even if that means politically destabilizing an entire planet. He's done his job.
And what is he just addicted to it then? Because they're not Kree that he's helping there. He's been kicked out from the Kree army, but he's still just going from planet to planet. Yeah, I love that idea because it's like, I talked one week about those 80s programs like Renegade and The Incredible Hulk and stuff, where it's someone going from town to town, but he's going from planet to planet, but he's just making things worse because he's too much of a stickler to the rules.
Like the opposite of the littlest hobo.
Yeah, the biggest Ronan, the biggest public unit. So when he first appeared, I don't think we need to talk about that story too much. He first appears in the Fantastic Four, and it's quite a boring one, I'm afraid. His first appearance, also, he's got pink skin. Later on, he has blue, just a little thing to spot. He doesn't sort of have a cape or anything. He looks more just like a wrestler. It's not the best design, the initial drawing of him. And he appears, again, he's judging a crime, which is that the Fantastic Four have destroyed a Kree Sentry robot, which I think is the first appearance of the Kree, who are an alien race who you never... Are they good, the Kree? I mean, Marvel Boy's good.
Yeah. And
Captain Marvel's good.
Captain Marvel's Kree, isn't he?
Yeah, but Kree generally as a race, they're not as... to me, they're not... I could never quite understand who they were meant to be. I sort of got the Shi'ar.
Yeah. And
I got the Skrulls.
Obviously are clear as well, but yeah.
They would be a lesser Star Trek race, wouldn't they, the Kree?
Yeah. Probably.
I don't know. I guess they're almost more like the Federation. They're almost like they're like advanced humans, essentially. Yeah. So Ronan, there he is. He turns up, and I remember at one point he puts them in a triangle of energy.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make any sense. Again, it's probably a drawing that stands like, oh my gosh, it's a triangle of energy. Now, if you step in the triangle, your feet blow off. It's some. He's looking at these drawings going, I don't know what that's meant to be, but I'm just guessing. And it turns out Ronan works for the Supreme Intelligence, which is a lovely design and idea. It's the Kree. The Kree is run by this database, which is the greatest minds of the past. Their brains have been put into a computer. It's very ahead of its time, isn't it? It's very sort of AI. They've been put into this sort of living organic computer, which looks like a big green head in a tank. And that has the knowledge of, a billion years of Kree history. Yeah. And they use, all the Kree peoples trust that to make all the decisions for them.
Yeah.
Which is us in 2027.
It is just a big green wobbly head, though.
Yeah, but I love that idea.
That's great.
Because it's that sort of thing where now, I think they did put it in the film The Marvels, which was dreadful. But the film Captain Marvel, I think they showed it by having, well, Annette Bening kind of played it.
Yeah.
But it was very computery. It wasn't very dull. Whereas Jack Kirby, yeah, it's a computer. Okay, so what does a computer look like? Well, a big green head with tentacles, obviously. What do you think a computer looks like, dickhead? So, so that's Ronan. Takes a while to heat up, I'd say, as a character.
Yeah.
Quite boring and nothing at first. I remember those adventures quite slow, but again, it might be Stan's overwriting. But when he kicks in, what a dude.
He, compared to the other two, he's only died the once, and he's not come back.
Oh, he's currently dead.
Currently dead.
Do you know how he died?
I can't remember. I did have it written down. But
peacefully in his sleep.
Yeah, let's say that.
A rare chance. Yeah. I imagine he was annihilated. I imagine he was exploded heroically.
I think it was probably Annihilation related.
He was probably getting people off a ship or something. Or, no, I imagine it was like he wouldn't budge. And they're like, Ronan, we need to get you out of here. And he's like, no, justice must be served, even if it means my death.
Yeah, let's go with that. I like it when we just make up our own facts when we're not sure what they actually are.
Exactly. Ronan's the first one who's been in a movie, right? And I loved God. He's the baddie in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's in the first
loved it. He's a perfectly good actor, but they very nothing character, I felt, in the movie.
I think
works as a villain, worked as someone to beat, but
yeah, it's Lee Pace, isn't it? I think he did a good job of what he was given to do,
but didn't make him in that he was more of a sort of Osama bin Laden character, wasn't he? It was like the idea, I think it was the idea that the Kree and the Nova Corps had like made peace, and he was a hardcore Kree who became a terrorist going around blowing up people and working for Thanos, which isn't his character.
Really the character. Yeah.
No. So he's very like Gladiator, who we met with the Shi'ar.
Yeah.
Less cuddly.
Yeah.
Gladiator's a bit more of a nice guy, I think. Right, finally, before we put them in the order, meet the Psycho Man.
Yeah.
Any stats for him?
Yeah, first appearance, Fantastic Four Annual 5. So in 1967 again. So they're all around the same time.
Mm. What a wealth. When I think it takes me about 2 years to come up with one good idea.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, Jack. Just throwing them out there.
Month after month.
I wonder if he's just having like visions and stuff. I wonder if like you scanned his brain, it turned out he had some kind of weird thing going on with his head. Some strange growth that was causing him to have these incredible hallucinations. He was the Leonardo da Vinci of comic books, wasn't he?
And we all know that strange growth would look exactly like the Supreme Intelligence.
Yeah, but tiny. And manned by the Psycho Man.
Yes.
Lovely. But yeah, Psycho Man.
5'9", apparently, except he's not, is he? Because he's from the Microverse, which is a universe hidden within ours. So he's actually very, 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 very tiny.
I think you said about an atom.
About an atom, I think.
Maybe even a quark, maybe smaller. Actually, it's a whole... So the Microverse, it's like the end of Men in Black. It's a whole universe inside an atom. I can't get my head around it. That idea. But I am quite thick. Anything else you got to say about old Sykes? Bill Sykes?
He's got sort of this sort of big sort of green roboty outfit, and he carries around an absolutely massive remote control with the words fear, doubt, and hate on them, which is what prompts in other people. It's ludicrously massive. It's
wonderful.
Like bigger than an iPad.
It's 3 big buttons.
Yeah.
No sense of how it works or anything. It's just a big box, and he can press fear, doubt, or hate. And when he presses it, it makes you feel those things.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Yeah. He's
It's the I think weirdly it's the best design of the three. It's so
yeah,
bizarre. His face looks like this very dark side from DC
yeah,
Comics, but orange, sort of wrinkled, craggy, but just really looks like it's been stuck on the body, which is this bizarre robotic kind of suit.
I think
Terrifying.
this
Absolutely
is
looks
like
terrifying.
this is a peak Kirby design though. This is like as Kirby as a Kirby design
Incredible.
gets. Yeah,
Incredible. And what
absolutely.
he first so he appears before Annihilus and he's in that story, and there's a lot of fun to be had in that story. There's it starts off where he kills a man with fear, I
Yeah,
think, but only because this man has delivered a thing he needed to the wrong address. It's
yeah,
like a kind of killing a Deliveroo driver or something because they've gone to the wrong place.
yeah.
It's
You
really
didn't bring the
bizarre.
fries.
Yeah, and what is it? Just parts to something he needs to destroy the world or something. But
Yeah,
they only find out
completely.
because the only reason the Fantastic Four become involved in this story is because he accidentally leaves it at the Baxter Building, doesn't he? He accidentally delivers it to the Baxter Building or something.
Yeah, yeah. It accidentally gets delivered to the thing.
What are the chances? Meanwhile, to add, Dickens said you should only have one coincidence in a story, but to add to this, Black Panther has bought an island, and on that island live the Inhumans. There's another coincidence, and they have a fight, and all of them also discover they're on the same island that Psycho Man is trying to create his big thing that's going to take over the world. Uh, and then the Fantastic Four turn up, but it doesn't matter. Reading it, you don't give a shit. It's all fun. It's great fun. I love seeing those other characters, all of whom were introduced in earlier Fantastic Four stories. Jack has got a major boner for the Inhumans, characters which have never really worked, sadly, outside of that.
I was never a huge Inhumans fan, but he does seem to like including them as much as he possibly can.
They look great.
They do.
It's a mad idea. I'm all for the Inhumans, but yeah, no one's ever going to convince me they're the X-Men, which is literally what the owner of Marvel tried to do for about 5 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He tried to kill off the X-Men and make everyone like the Inhumans instead. We'll get to that when we do the Inhumans.
Oh yeah, it's from the Inhumans. It's Karnak, isn't it? Whose ability is to hit things at their weak point.
Yeah, yeah, he
Their
can see the weak point on anyone. So that's Psycho Man. I love him to bits. His motivation is that his world is dying, so he wants ours, I think. At the end, they do kind of miss a moment where it turns out he's a tiny man from a tiny universe. And I thought, because I heard someone else talking about this on another podcast, to be honest, but I thought you would then see a little man come out of the suit, but actually they find the suit and there's nothing in it.
No.
And they go, where is he? And so we have to kind of infer that he's too small to be seen.
So, and I'm not sure if that means that we've never actually seen what the Psycho Man really looks like. If this is just his suit and we've never seen him, or if he looks like that, it's just a big version of him.
Yeah, it is. I think it is. I'm afraid because Red Hulk goes into the microverse and fights him.
Yeah, and kills him.
And kills him.
But then he gets resurrected again in the same issue, so it doesn't really count as a death.
That was a full-on piece of shit Red Hulk storyline that I read all of and went, oh, I feel sick. This is so horrible. Red Hulk steals the Silver Surfer's board at one point and flies around and kills Galactus, does he?
I've been reading a lot of that Red Hulk run.
Have you got to the end of it?
I'm getting close to the end.
Oh, I can't finish it.
It's not good. It's really not good.
It's like Lord of the Rings. Obviously, it's not like Lord of the Rings, but it's one of those things where I've done it 2 or 3 times and got to the same point every time and given up. And I don't even know why with either of them, really. That said, I did start reading Return of the King the other day, and I was like, oh, this is great. With Lord of the Rings, it's when you get to the Ents, which I know is meant to be boring, but I'm just like, I can't read any more of this. It's killing me.
It's a slog. It is a slog.
Maybe I'll try it. Great. Psycho Man. So so what I was going to say, he's a forerunner of a dear Elon Musk, isn't he? I think, in that he's like, the planet. Oh no, the planet's just ruined. Let's just go and take someone else's.
Yeah.
We'll all go and live on Mars. It'll be fine. Do you think there is a microverse? Do you ever think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm now thinking, what if I've crushed a microverse? Oh, I don't want that responsibility.
Every time you sneeze,
Yeah.
why every time you sneeze? Every time you walk, move.
No, only when you sneeze.
That's what I don't. This is only when I sneeze. That's the point I don't quite understand. If these universes are inside an atom, then they're not constantly being destroyed, are they? Because
they'd be protected by being within that. Because unless you split an atom.
Okay, so Einstein had killed a universe. If that was Einstein, I don't even know. Wonderful. Right, let's stick them in the order.
Yep.
Put them in the order. Right. So where do we? Oh, first of all, the question we asked: who is the biggest cosmic bastard, not including Galactus? Who do you reckon takes the prize?
I think it's Annihilus.
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
The whole Annihilation wave thing has got to be him.
Oh, he's a bugger, that guy. He really is. So where do you put them out of 4? I'm going to go Ronan, Annihilus, Psycho Man, Blastaar.
Ronan above Annihilus.
In terms of, not the biggest bastard, but I think in terms of character.
I would have swapped Annihilus and Ronan around.
You're putting Annihilus at the top. Okay, well, let's play Strike It Lucky. Top, middle, or bottom? I can't remember the theme tune. I sang it last time. Can you remember?
Are we lumping them together?
Not necessarily. Let's start with Annihilus.
I think I'm going top. I think he's quite
top. Do you stick him
high.
above? Falcon seems to have become a good one to go for.
Yeah, I'd maybe put him above Alicia Masters.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Below the Shadow King, though.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking your word for it, Nick. Annihilus. Okay. Don't know if I'd do that, but fine. Blastaar. Is he near the bottom? No, he's not near the bottom, is he?
No.
How does he compare to Abomination?
He's middle somewhere. He's probably... I don't know. Is he above Abomination? He looks cool.
Do you remember Blastaar, buddy? Oh. My son does not remember Blastaar. We have read him, but he doesn't remember him. Is he above Abomination? Yes. No, I think he's one below.
Yeah. Okay. Okay with that.
Actually, I think he's below Anaconda.
Yeah, I like Anaconda.
Okay, but above King Cobra.
Yeah.
Okay. This is good fun. Who's next? Oh, no, I take that back. Sorry. I think King Cobra's a lot of fun. Mask, Angela, Dracula. All right, actually, fine. We don't want to be here all night. Who's next? Ronan.
Ronan.
The public accuser.
Public accuser.
Did they ever bring in the private accuser?
We'd never know.
That's like Baywatch Nights. We never know, that's true. We'd have to sign an NDA.
Yeah.
Ronan, I would put above Winter Soldier, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Above Alicia Masters as well. Let's put him just below Ronan.
Below Annihilus.
Annihilus, I mean.
Yeah, go for it.
Although, do you think he's above Agatha Harkness? Yeah, we've done it.
Yeah, Dan might be
Okay,
good at
Ronan,
pushing it
the
further.
public accuser.
Accuser.
I'm getting him in his full title. And then finally, the Psycho Man. Tiny little fella in a great big body.
I mean, he's quite fun, but I don't think he's that good, is he really?
I love everything about his look,
Yeah.
but it's not a character, is it? But I still prefer him, I think, to Callisto.
Yeah.
Is that mad? Don't
No,
know.
I think that's fair.
One below Gambit.
Yeah, one below Gambit's good.
Okay.
And that's mostly just based on his outfit
Yeah. And the fact that he's a tiny man.
and a tiny man.
And that he's got that big box with 3 buttons on it that say fear, doubt, hate.
Big remote control. Can't beat a big remote control.
Okay, well, just to explain, Annihilus is at 11. Ronan is now at 12. Psycho Man at 23. And Blastaar all the way down there at number 40. What a list. We have now got 73 characters on there. You can help us choose which characters we look at next, influence where they appear, and get some extra bonus content by going to patreon.com/abombtozzzax. You can message Nick at abombtozzzax@gmail.com if you want to have any thoughts on this. Thanks to Jack Kirby for all your beautiful designs, for Stan for, helping some of them, probably ruining Blastaar. And thank you to Eyes on Legs for doing the music. We'll be back next week, hopefully with the usual boys doing Daredevil, the man himself, because of the new series. Have you seen any of it yet, Nick?
No, I have started watching the original Netflix series.
Oh, because you never saw it?
No, I never watched that. So
mate, I think you have to watch. I think you have to watch all of that.
Yeah.
I think you have to, really, because it would certainly make it better. But I started watching. Can I spoil a tiny thing? I won't say. I started watching the new Daredevil. I'm just going to say it has a one shot. Is that what you call it? A whole scene that's one shot. What do you call that? I'm an actor, for God's sake. One take. That's it. God. One take shot of some classic DD v Bullseye action. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's what you've been waiting for. Frank Miller must be punching the air, especially if they're giving any money, which is unlikely.
I'm enjoying the old series so far. So
okay, you still on series 1?
Yeah, 4 or 5 episodes in. So yeah.
Okay, well, apologies again for being late. Fingers crossed, we'll be back Friday, every Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning. This should appear. It's later today, and we'll be back with Daredevil. Thank you so much. R.I.P. the Porcupine and Anna Lee. See you later, Nick.
See you later. Bye, Zaxers.
You have been listening to abombtozzzax, my favorite Marvel character, with me, Colin Holt, and my friends Dan Snowgrove and Jamie Firth. There they go! Please remember to support us at patreon.com/abombtozzzax.